Hello, boys and girls. I am so glad that you're able to join me again for another session. We are going to continue our lesson from yesterday. Our standard that we are covering for this week is describe character, settings, and major events in a story using key details. Well, we already talked about characters, we looked at different things, and we were able to recognize how the character looks out from outside and how the character feel inside and how you can describe a character by looking at it or reading the story. And today we are going to continue our lesson learning about settings. All right. So our learning target is going to be I can describe settings in a story using key details. Well, in order for us to describe the setting, we first need to understand what a setting is. All right. So I am going to share my screen about the settings and we are going to learn what the setting is all about. Okay. The setting has two parts, where the story takes place and when the story takes place. So if someone asks you what is a setting, you should be able to say the time and place where the story takes place. So it can be where and when the story is actually taking place. Where a story happens, it can happen outside in the snow, it can happen underwater in the ocean, or it can also happen inside the school. Can you think of other places where the setting can be? Well, we saw water, school, and outside. Well, the story can be in the house. The story can also take place at the park. The story can take place um, at a restaurant, or it can at a Disney World, or at a movie theater. It can be anywhere, any place that you can imagine any place that you can imagine the story can take place over there. All right. So we some of the examples that we saw were outside, in the house, under the water, or in the park or in the playground. Those are some of the examples where the story takes place. Now, when the story happens could also mean the time and the day, the season, or the year it could happen. Now, why do you think it is important? Do you think it's important when when the story happens? Yes, of course, because you need to know when the story is happening. Is it happening during the daytime? Is it happening in the nighttime? So one of the things when the story happens is it can be during the summertime. It can be out on a rocket in the future, or during a Halloween 400 years ago. So it can happen present, it can happen in the past, it can happen in the future. It can happen during the daytime, it can happen during the nighttime, it can be the summertime, or it can be winter time. So when the story takes place, it can happen anytime. So that is another part of the setting that you need to remember. All right, can you think of other places when the setting could be? Yes, there are so many other places that the setting can be. Like I said, it can happen in the morning time, it can happen in the nighttime, it can happen in the future, it can happen in the past. Do you think of a story? Do you think a story would change if I had a different setting? Of course. Let's look at some of the examples. The setting can be very important to a story. Watch what happened if I change the setting in a story. Well, in the story Frosty the Snowman, the setting obviously is winter. How would the story change if the setting changed during the summertime? Well, right now we know the setting is winter because obviously in the wintertime it's snowing, it's cold outside, and you see snow and you can make the snowman. And that's how the setting is being created because the title of the story, Frosty the Snowman, and winter kind of ties in with each other. What happens if you change the setting? Let's look at it. Well, Frosty would have melted if the setting were summer. The setting to this story is very, very important. So, as good readers, you when you are writing a story, you have to imagine what kind of setting you wanted to give to your story. So, if I'm writing about Frosty the Snowman, obviously my setting will be wintertime. I can't make my setting to be summertime because if I do my setting to be summertime, then obviously the snowman is going to melt. So, you see how important it is to come up with the right setting for your story. Now it's time to practice what we have learned about setting. All right, so it says click on which answer you think is right. All right, so here is a challenge for us. You can help me find the answers, or I can do it and see if you got the right answer just like the way I did. So the question is click on which two things describe the setting. Now remember, the setting is time and place where the story takes place. So where and when the story takes place. So these are the two answers for setting. So if someone asks you what a setting is, you should be able to say where and when the story takes place. Where is like where is the place and what time of the day it is. All right, so let's look at another one. Look at this setting right here. And these are our four options. I'm going to go ahead and read the four options, and then you can look at the picture. And remember, as good readers, you should always ask questions, think in your mind, think out loud, and then figure out which one will be the correct answer. I am looking at the setting. I see moon, I see snowflakes, and I also see dark outside. So obviously this is telling me that this is nighttime. Well, let's look at our options that are here, and then based on my thinking and asking questions to myself, that's going to help me figure out what is the correct answer. So let's look at our options over here. Night, summer, morning, and winter. These are my four options. Now remember, a good reader always asks the questions to themselves. So the way you can ask questions is, okay, I'm looking at this picture right here. What do I see? I see black. It's really dark. So obviously it is nighttime because nighttime it is dark. So my first answer will be night because I see that it is dark. Summer is my next option. Do you think summer will be the answer? Well, of course not, because I don't see sun and I don't see anything over here in the picture that is pertaining to summer. So I'm going to skip that. I'll skip that answer because that is not my right choice. Morning, well, if it is morning or daytime, then I would see a sun outside, or I will have different features that will help me to figure out that if it's a morning or not. But this picture does not look like morning to me because I see we already said it is nighttime because of the moon and snowflakes. Um, the next option is winter. Now, do you think winter is the right option? Of course, because I see snowflakes. I will choose winter as my next answer. All right. What is one of the setting in the Three Little Pigs? I know everyone knows about Three Little Pigs, and we read the story about the Three Little Pigs and the true story of Three Little Pigs. So I'm pretty sure that you are aware of the story Three Little Pigs. So, what kind of setting was there in Three Little Pigs? Do you think the Three Little Pigs story happened in the ocean? Obviously not. It didn't happen in the ocean. It started on the farm because we looked at it in the beginning of the story that they they were housed, they were fenced, and it looked like a farm. So it was obviously not an ocean. How about a school? Do you think the Three Little Pigs the story happened in the school? Obviously no. A brick house. Do you think a brick house is a setting in the story? Yes. One of the pig built its house with a brick. So yes, brick house is one of the settings. So do you see how I'm asking questions to myself before I answer? That is what you're supposed to do when you are thinking about answering a question or if you're looking for the setting. Now, you always remember what is the setting. Setting is where and when the story takes place, or time and place where the story takes place. Okay? So you can go ahead and repeat after me. It's where and when the story is taking place. Now it's your turn to practice finding the setting by yourself. All right, you can do this with me. When you read, see if you can find the setting by looking for where and when the story takes place. All right, we already practiced a few of them. And next time when